Bless this meeting today, and bless all who have come in our presence. May this facility be accommodating. May our spirit be filled with the Spirit of Christ. May our hearts be open to receive what you have for us. We're careful, dear Father, to give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. In the holy name of Jesus, our Savior, we pray. Amen. Amen. We honor today to have the presenters for this event who come from various places, both in terms of geography as well as in terms of areas of expertise and sections in life. We're honored to have them share with us in this time. I want to welcome all of our presenters today, those who will be presenting now, those who will be presenting later, to the McAlmont Church of Christ and to the Men's Conference. We believe that it is an event, it's a cause whose time has come. We believe that we dare not wait any longer, and we dare not drag as we go forward. But with full speed ahead, we will arrive to be who we are designed to be. So this program would fail desperately if we were not privileged to have all of you present with us today, men from around this country who have come from far and near to join with us in saying in our hearts and lives that we will lift up our heads. Thank you for making the journey. Thank you for coming from so many different places and so many different states, cities, and communities, and so many different congregations. Welcome to the inaugural McAlmont Men's Conference. And we'll consider this our maiden voyage. And our hope is that it will be a successful voyage. Today, we owe to a great debt of gratitude to the McAlmont Committee for Human Development, who has conceived and put together this program. The hard work, the long hours, the deliberation, the seeking out presenters and concepts to be addressed have led us to the moment we're in now. And we give them our gratitude and our appreciation. Today we'll be led down a path to the uprising of the African American men who have for too long failed to see the full vision that God intended. And we hope that we'll leave here today committed to man up, to handle it, and to lift up our heads. We will then be confronted with real situations of the man in American culture, in American life, by men who come from various backgrounds and careers, to help us to address and to identify those things we need to know, embrace, and implement in order to become who we seek to be. We know that some have traveled great distances. Others have forfeited important duties and responsibilities, chores that have been left undone to be here with us today. And we don't count that lightly. We thank you for making that choice, and we welcome you to McAlmont Church of Christ and to its beginning Men's Conference. May God bless us as we go forward today. And it is my profound privilege and opportunity to introduce the person who will begin our series today with the first workshop. He has come from a great distance. he had to make a lot of different travel arrangements in order to accommodate us in this conference. But he and I go back a long ways. As young ministers of the gospel, our paths crossed when we were attending two different colleges, but we lived in cities close enough to communicate. He has gone on and achieved great accomplishments in his own career. Dr. David Lane is the Minister Emeritus of the Marcellus Church of Christ in Dallas, Texas. But I know him as a man who has gone up the academic level with tremendous determination and commitment. I remember the strides that he has taken, and I've watched and followed that career. He is, in his own rights, a psychologist who has used that field to do so many wonderful things as far as students in school, for instance, and academic arenas, helping people in congregations and communities, setting up counseling centers in cities, not only in the Dallas, Texas area, but in Missouri and other places. In fact, he developed a program that is used by the United States Department of Education, a program that was used in urban schools in Missouri. He became the trainer for those who would use that program, and then use the same criteria to develop the other sites that he has developed over the years. I see him as a person who has taken the scriptures, applied them to life situations, and as a result has been a great asset to people across the land. Please join me in welcoming today to begin our session the first presenter in this workshop, Dr. David Lane of Dallas, Texas.
I want to say good morning to everybody. I have not had an opportunity to greet this morning. I want to express my appreciation to Brother Minister Dr. Lord Harris for a very kind introduction. I am delighted beyond words of expression to look upon your faces and to greet you with Jesus' joy. As indicated, it's been an audacious task getting here. I was in New York for last week and New Jersey for the beginning of the week, and now out here. So we thank God for traveling grace and for the ability to be here. We are dealing with perhaps one of my life's passion. As indicated, I have spent my career both as a minister and as a psychologist dealing with matters of at-risk young men. I directed ART program for the federal government for nearly 20 years, and even in my retirement, I'm part of the National Roundtable for the opioid crisis for the U.S. Surgeon General. So many of the things that I'm going to be sharing this morning come out of my day-to-day work with these kind of issues, because I'm a minister who happen to be a psychologist, or a psychologist who happen to be a minister. I do everything Bible-based. And so the issues that I want to deal with, you'll forget, since I'm in a church building with a microphone, if I get a little excited and attempt to preach. I did tell you I was a minister who happened to be a psychologist. I did prepare a PowerPoint presentation that I decided not to use because I'm not quite sure that I want to be tied down to what I thought I was going to do. But I want to go back to 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse number 1. one, I recognize the theme, and what a wonderful theme of lifting up our heads. I want to do some therapeutic teaching or preaching this morning. And the best way to do that is, as I teach therapeutic preaching, I try to enter into vicarious identification. That's what I like to call it. I like to try to find somebody who illustrates what we are trying to talk about. And so there is a character in the Old Testament. His name is Mephibosheth. And I want to read from the Message translation of 2 Samuel chapter 9, verses 1 through 13. We'll find his story, and he's going to illustrate really the best example of what Dr. Harris and the planners of this conference had in mind. One day David asked, "Is there anyone left of Saul's house? If so, I'd like to show him some kindness in honor of Jonathan." It happened that a servant from Saul's household named Ziba was there. They called him into David's presence. The king asked him, "Are you Ziba?" "Yes, sir," he replied. The king asked, "Is there anyone left from the family of Saul to whom I can show some godly kindness?" Ziba told the king, "Yes, there is Jonathan's son, lame in both feet." "Where is he?" "He's living in the home of Micah, son of Amiel, in Lodebar." King David didn't lose a minute. He sent and got him from the home of Micah, son of Amiel, in Lodebar. And when Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, who was the son of Saul, came before David, he bowed deeply, abasing himself, honoring David. David spoke his name, "Mephibosheth." "Yes, sir." "Don't be frightened," said David. I'd like to do something special for you in memory of your father, Jonathan. To begin with, I'm returning to you all the properties of your grandfather Saul. Furthermore, from now on, you'll take all your meals at my table, shuffling and stammering, not looking him in the eye. Mephibosheth, this is the point of emphasis, Mephibosheth said, "Who am I that you pay attention to a stray dog like me?" David then called in Ziba, Saul's right-hand man, and told him, "Everything that belonged to Saul and his family, I've handed over to your master's grandson. You and your sons and your servants will work this land and bring in the produce, provisions for your master's grandson. Mephibosheth himself, your master's grandson, from now on will take all his meals at my table." Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Lift up your head. And I want to add, walk into your destiny. We're not just encouraging you to lift up your heads. We want you to walk into your destiny. Life can go terribly wrong for you, leaving its painful mark on you, thereby creating major issues with you and around you. You meet such a man in this text. What happened to him was now getting in the way of what was waiting for him. What had happened to him created issues within him that were standing in the way of the future that was before him. And if you're not careful, the issues that go on inside of you can stand in the way of what God has waited for you. So our highest dreams, our noblest aspirations have not been materialized because we do not have skills. For the most part, we are not where we can be. We have not walked into our destiny because we are our own worth enemies. All right. If you don't remember anything else, just remember that what other folk think about you is not near as important as what you think about you. Yeah, that's the purpose of the theme of this conference. And you will not appreciate that until you look at the background, because when I tell Mephibosheth's story, I'm going to be narrating, if we're not careful, too many of your stories, too many mine. I have a very strong passion about these kind of topics, because whether you're lame in both feet like Mephibosheth, it's important to remember his background. You remember David. Almost everybody remember David, you know, the shepherd boy who turned king. He's the same David, you know, who fought Goliath. That everybody said, you know, Goliath was too big to fight. David was cut from a different cloth, and he said, no, Goliath is too big to miss. And he goes out and he fights this giant who fights his last battle. But this same David is now king over Israel. To complicate matters, you remember, the present king, Saul, became envious because he was insecure, because he was a big man with a small ego. He became envious and jealous of David because he didn't realize that what God has for you is for you. If God has already given the throne to David, there's nothing Saul can do except serve his term, do the best he can. Get out of the way. I'm talking to somebody now. Get out of the way. Let the next man have his turn. But instead, he became envious. He became jealous. To the point,
we ain't got to worry about Brooks yet, customer.
To complicate matters, David's best friend becomes his son. They become so tied to each other that they're like brothers. Their souls were knitted. You know the story. And they made a pact with each other. Jonathan says to David, now once you get to the throne, don't forget our relationship. Look out for my family.
Yes. All right.
Now you remember the civil war continued until finally both Saul and Jonathan died in battle at Jezreel. And now Jonathan is dead. And after a series of events you can read about in 1st and 2nd Samuel, we find David, the king, reminiscing, sitting on his throne now. He has walked into his destiny, and he did something that every one of us who find ourselves in a successful place have to reminisce about where we came from. Yeah, my grandfolk used to tell me, don't ever get so high that you forget where you came from. He's sitting now on the throne, reminiscing over where he came from, and he now reflects over the covenant that he made with his friend Jonathan. And then he remembers the covenant in 1 Samuel 20, 14 and 15. Show me unfailing kindness, like the Lord, as long as I live, so that I may not be killed, and do not ever cut off your kindness from my family, not even when the Lord has cut off every one of David's enemies. He was a man of his word, and he kept the promise, and he sent for David's descendant. Now, Mephibosheth struggled in the struggle of many boys in the hood. I suggest who are broken from the beginning. I purpose to show and to exegete the struggle of Mephibosheth to make application to your life and to my life. And I see 4 tremendous truths and insights in this story that if you'll follow, you'll be able to make application. Number 1, I see boys born to be king. I see a boy, and I'm talking to some son born to be king. I want to discuss boys broken from the beginning. And then the story will evolve into boys destined to be dogs. But I can't end on that note without challenging boys determined to be successful. You start the story with boys born to be king. Mephibosheth had royalty in his veins. His father was a prince, according to the culture of that day. Saul's sons and grandsons would be king. And when David finds this prince, he's living in Lodabar. Now the Lodabar comes from 2 words. Lo means no, and the bar means pasture. So Lodabar is a place of no pasture. So economics in the biblical culture, being an agriculture based on crops. So if you live in a land that can't produce nothing, oh my God, Lodabar is a place of no pasture. There's no economy. There's no possibility. There's no life. The one place nobody wants to live is in Lodabar. And Mephibosheth is living in a land of no pasture. He's living in a land of no possibility, no life. Mephibosheth is born to be king. But he finds himself living in Lodabar. Now, how does somebody who's destined to be a king wind up living in Lodabar? And when he finally gets to the palace, he describes himself as a dead dog. It's in the text. You know, I'm not making this up. You did read it. It's because there was something in his mentality, that caused him to get comfortable with what we in psychology calls thinking, stinking thinking. Oh my Lord, what a phrase. He's where he is, doing what he's doing because of stinking thinking. It was stinking thinking that caused him to see himself as a nobody going nowhere. afraid of not surviving, so he resigns himself to living in Lodabar. Isn't that the plot? Isn't that the plight of most men of color? In all of the centers of this, as Maya Angelou says, yet to be united States of America. It wasn't his fault that his dad died. It wasn't his fault that a nurse dropped him. It wasn't his fault that there was no doctor to repair his situation. None of that was his fault. And I'm suggesting to you that it may not even be your fault that you were molested as a child, that you were raped, that you were verbally or physically abused. It may not be your fault that you had no father, that you never knew your mother. It may not be your fault that you had to raise yourself primarily. Become parents before you were an adult yourself. It may not even be your fault that you were raised in poverty, that you had to live on welfare or handouts. It may not be your fault that nobody ever gave you guidance, provided you with a good education, inspired you or pursued and poured into you virtue and value to build a confidence in you. None of that may not be your fault. It may not even be your fault that you had to close your business down, suffer a cutback. It's not your fault how you were raised, how you were talked to, how you've been prejudiced against. It's not your fault that you had to live most of your life in Lodabar. Come a little closer. Come a little closer. Let me whisper some sober words to you. So it may not be your fault where you have been, but you have everything to do with where you're going. Say that again, brother minister. I think somebody missed that. I say it may not be your fault as to where you have been, but it is your fault. It is your responsibility to take charge of where you are going. I'm aware of systematic racism. I spent 40 years in the arena of dealing with people of color, dealing with at-risk boys halfway around the world. I also understand that the biggest enemy to black males is not racism. Oh, I know, it has its place. Systematic racism doesn't make it easy, but that's not our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is called self-sabotage. We are our own worst enemy. The unemployment rate for black males between 16 and 19 is 24.7%, which is double of the national average. I'm aware that young black boys who are under 20 years of age make up 60% of the prison population of boys that age. I'm aware that the majority of black males between 20 and 29 are either in prison, on parole, or on probation. That more than 1/3 of black men in this country are in the same predicament. I'm concerned that there are too many brothers who are living in Lodabar, the place of no pasture, the place of aborted possibility. And it may not be your fault that you're in Lodabar, but it is your fault if you become satisfied and stay there. Say that again, brother minister. I write slow. It may not be your fault that you are now living in Lodabar, but you don't have to be satisfied and stay in Lodabar. Yes, I'm concerned about boys born to be king who are living in Lord. But I want you to know, war is broken from the beginning. See, he's crippled as a man because he was dropped as a boy. Those of you who know this story already know where I am. Those of you who are hearing this story for the first time, let me tell you, there was a battle at Mount Gilboa. And in that battle against the Philistine, King Saul's 3 sons were killed, including Jonathan. And when Saul realized what happened, he killed himself by falling on his sword. But Mephibosheth would never forget that day, because word quickly spread throughout the countryside that his father and his grandfather had been killed. And everybody knew that when the king dies, the next king, usually as his first act of command, gets rid of all of his rivalries. And the nurse, in the attempt to save him from impending doom for the next king, catches him, runs with him, and somehow she trips and falls, and as a result of dropping him, I'm in 2 Samuel chapter 4, verses 1 through 4, if you don't know the story. She runs with him, she trips, and she falls. 2 Samuel 4, verse 1 through, he falls, and he becomes lame in both feet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dropped as a child.
Wow.
And crippled
As a man.
as a man.
That's all right, man. Yes, sir. You're good.
But the other reason I'm talking about it is because I want you to notice who dropped it. Mephibosheth was dropped by a woman.
Wow.
And now he's crippled as a man.
All right.
I'm dealing with a whole lot of brothers who are where they are because they were dropped by an overindulgent mother or an absent father. My God, I'll mess around and preach if you push me.
Come on, man. Yes. Come on.
He was. Some of us are in the predicament we are in right now. We're stuck in Lodabar because we were dropped by an overindulgent mother or an absent father. A lot of brothers are where they are because mothers raise their daughters and spoil their boys. It's hard for those of us who are trying to raise daughters to be virtuous women because it's hard for us to find real men for them to marry. Because single mothers have not learned that I don't care, and many of us come from families, and thank God we wouldn't be where we are if it had not been from a single mother doing triple duty to try to be the man and the woman at the house. But I don't care how good your mother, I don't care how strong, I don't care how courageous your mother is or was. She cannot raise a man the way a man raises a man, because she doesn't know what it means to be a man. She does the best she can. And something has to be said about men as boys who don't know the difference between having sex and making love. Putting yourself in a position to be a father before you're ready to raise a child.
Because when a boy is not raised by a man figure, when there is no man in his life, he misses something that a woman can't give him. Mothers sometimes love their sons into being crippled men because they never teach them the two basic rules of life. Rule number one, make up your bed. You know what happens to a man who has some woman cleaning up his room? He gets out of bed and leaves his bed and starts his day. It's something psychological. There is something beneficial to performing a task before you go anywhere. In fact, somebody has become a millionaire. There's this book out now that talks about the benefit of making up your bed. And the psychology is that you want to start your day setting goals or performing tasks. So when you have a mother, and I know, you can't make the bed like your mama can make it. She just has to keep teaching and working until you learn how to do it right. That's right. Because when you start with the spirit of entitlement, it moves to that rule number two. You see, if you don't learn these two basic rules of life, make up your bed and clean up your own mess. Oh my God, I go home now. Because if you don't learn how to make up your own bed, know the value of completing tasks, and if you don't know the value of if you mess up, you need to clean up your own mess. You'll be a grown man still wanting somebody to rescue you from your bad decisions. I said, we've got a lot of boys, we've got a lot of men dropped as a boy and crippled as a man because some mother raised their daughters and spoiled their sons. Somewhere in life, somebody need to tell you, you may not get everything you pay for, but you're going to have to pay for everything you get. If you are expected to be successful in life with everybody giving you because you are mama's king, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So you become an irresponsible man with no real career aspirations of your own. You think your job is to learn how to match women, talk junk, where you can marry my daughter who has a career and she take care of you. That's what happens when children raise children. So if we're going to solve the problem of generational curses, at some point we have to decide, I'm going to be different. That's why you're here this morning, because you might not be able to do it for your child, but you can work on your grandchild. We've dropped our boys by not teaching them values and aspiration and discipline and determination. Come a little closer. Let me whisper some sober words to you. What happened to you can't defeat you. what happened to you can't defeat you unless you let it get in. Boys born to be king, broken from the beginning, because they were dropped by overindulgent mothers or absent fathers. Then why would we be surprised when we see boys destined to be dogs? Notice, a boy born to be king winds up in Lodabar. And when he finally gets to the palace, he describes himself as a dead dog. Why? Because there is something in his mentality that has resigned him to stinking thinking. See, when you are not conscious of your history, you abort your possibilities for a future. If you're ignorant of your past, you will act like a fool in the present. If you see yourself as a dog, and you bark like a dog, and you talk like a dog, and you think like a dog, and you behave like a dog, you have morals like a dog, why are you going to get upset if somebody calls you a dog? You my dog. Too many young people in this generation, they think it's cute to refer to their friends. I mean, that's just what the hip-hop community has done to our culture. Too many boys get caught up with this get rich quick, get it right now, bling, bling, blowing up. And as a consequence, we have allowed rappers and basketball players to become our heroes. So to be black means we got to do something different. There's a mentality that says that if you go to school and you get an education, you're acting white. If you use the King's English properly, you want to be white. Come on, hold on a second. You tell me, if I get my work done, do my homework, make good grades, score well on the SAT, I'm acting white. So that means to be black means to be ignorant and to act stupid. Do you not know your heritage? Do you not know your history? If you're not a person of color, if you are a person of color, you are the children of those who created writing. It was black folk who created science. It was black folk that created astronomy. And you got the nerve to tell me I'm acting white when it was my ancestors that created everything they stole? That's why we got to teach children about our heritage. Boys born to be king, dropped, broken from the beginning, destined to be a dog if we don't change thinking. I conclude by reminding you about boys who want to be determined to be successful. It's hard to move forward when you settle on being stuck. On being stuck. Just because it has been doesn't mean that it always has to be. thank God for the insightful vision of this ministry and these shepherds to provide this kind of venue for us to be reminded. And we've got work ahead of us. If we're going to change the leadership structure in the body of Christ, if we're going to change the leadership structure in our community, we got to raise up a different kind of man. A man who has some values. I'm talking about a man who understands that core values are important to the woman that you date, to the person who hires you. When I get you, what do I get? What are your core values? Do I get thanksgiving? Do I get gratitude? Do I get honesty? Do I get ethics? Do I get kind? I mean, what are your core values? When I allow you to get close to me, what am I getting? Wow. Who are you? Just because it has been doesn't mean it always has to be. So when you give up hope, and when you give up expecting things to be better, you give up living. Because as long as there is life, there is hope. And I see Mephibosheth spend his life in Lodabar, lame in both feet. But he gets a call from the king. Come on now, preacher. The king wants to see you. And what he could never dream could ever happen to him. When he stood before the king, he expected the king to destroy him. But the king decided to help him. He said, from this day forward, because you from this day forward, you're going to have a new family. You're going to have a new future. Because you're going to enjoy all of your meals at the king's table. Come on now, preacher. And look at Mephibosheth. He made one determination to accept the king's invitation. Oh my God. There's a preaching point. I said he made one decision to accept the king's invitation. And as a result of accepting the king's invitation, he has a new family, a new future, and a new fortune. He sits at the king's table. And when it's time for dinner, he makes a determination. You can hear him coming down the hall, dragging. I would rather live with a limp than to stay in Lodabar. I would rather live with a limp than to stay in Lodabar. So I'm asking you, do you want a better life? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? Notice the order as I take my seat. What do you want to be? Because being always precedes habit, and habit precedes doing. What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? The real question is, do you want it badly enough to be a self-motivator and pay the price? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? do you want it badly enough to be willing to pay the price and make the determination? I'd rather live with a limp and lift up my head, walk toward my destiny, than to live the rest of my life in Lodabar. Peace. Shalom.
We have about 10 minutes before we begin our next session. Well, according to the clock, really about 8. So if you have some type of housekeeping that you need to do, we have our facilities, main facilities out this door right here. Brother Starks, would you raise your hand? Brother Starks is back there. He can tell you where they are. There are also facilities in this hall. And what we want you to know is that if you're taking notes, and you have questions, we're going to try our best to give you an opportunity to ask those questions. You're not going to ask those questions to me. You're going to be able to ask them to the presenter. So if Dr. Lane said something that in his presentation you would like clarity on, given the opportunity, you will have it. So thank you so much. Well, please be back in the next 2-3 minutes, all right? Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to ask if you would to come in and let's have take our seats. We want to be as expeditious as we possibly can because